Okay, good to see everybody. Well, we're excited. It's game week finally. Everything builds this for us. So a lot of excitement around here, getting ready for a great matchup. But before we get into the game, just thoughts and prayers for all the people in Louisiana. We've got guys from that area as well, so just keeping them in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully, can get through a very difficult time. But want to have the right perspective there as we get focused on this game, because there's a lot of people who are hurting right now, and we know that. Game week is always exciting every single week. I mean, again, everything builds to this. You only get 12 opportunities that they give you on your schedule, and whatever comes after that, is a result of what you did on those 12 days. And, if you go all the way to the national championship, that's 15 days. And the other 350 you spend preparing and dreaming and planning and working toward and building toward, these moments. So it's exciting to finally have the opportunity to go play. And I can't wait to see us play. I'm excited to see where we are, because you just coming off a month of camp. So where are we, and what do we got to do to get better? And, huge challenge, obviously, in Georgia. I think this is I think it's the fourth time in the last 21 years, I guess, since 2000, that there's been a top 5 matchup as an opener. So these are rare moments that you have games like this. So really difficult challenge right out of the gate, playing a team that's good enough to win the whole thing. But we're excited about it. Look forward to it. And when you look at Georgia, they're built in the trenches on both sides, massive on both sides. They're built to stop the run. They've led the country 2 years in a row in rush defense and yards per carry. Nobody's really ran the ball on them. They've had a moment here or there, but really stout, very aggressive as far as how they support the run, but they're built up the middle. I mean, 99 and 95 are pros, and they're as good as you're going to find. Big, strong, pocket movers. They just don't get moved at the point of attack very often. And then the backers, outstanding players, very experienced. And then those safeties, great players, very involved in the run game, physical. So this is a team built right up the middle, and very strong on that side. So we got our hands full there. Schematically they do a great job. They force you to have to make plays. They don't give you anything. You got to make plays. Very aggressive in how they schematically do things. And then the flip side on the offense, very impressed with their quarterback. He got some great experience and some great confidence last year. With how the season ended for them, made some big plays in some critical moments. Down in you look at the Mississippi State game, late in the season. I mean, they had some tight plays right there, and he made 3 or 4 throws, to get that go-ahead score. They dropped a couple of them, and he just kept battling, kept putting the ball right where it needed to be. So we're just really impressed with his moxie. You can tell he's a good leader. He's got great arm talent. They're going to get off the bus, running the football and play action, shots down the field. I mean, there's not a lot of dink and dunking going on. They got a great screen game that they will manipulate you with, but they want to run the football and they want to get the ball over the top of you. And this quarterback has the ability to do it, and the receivers as well. They've recruited very well. Again, good players all across the board. So a lot of those guys we recognize from recruiting and those type of things. Some of them don't have as much experience, but they're incredibly talented. Trevor Lawrence was a true freshman and won a national championship. So good players are good players, and I know they'll have those guys ready to play. But man, their receiving core, they got some guys that can run. 7 is, I think, a really special player. 10's a great player. 3 and 4 in the backfield. I mean, those guys downhill runners, strong, physical. They can slip through cracks. They don't need much space. Next thing you know, they're at second level breaking tackles. So a really good team, experienced in the kicking game, kicker and punter. So just, that's why they're ranked in the top 5. When you go to ranked teams, you typically, I would think, start with, of course, who's back from last year, what did they do, what's the track record of the program, and those type of things. So, easy to see why they are. A lot of people have picked them to win the national championship. Really don't have any weaknesses, as a football team, but they're a lot like us in that, this is a tough matchup and there's a lot to learn about your team, because you really haven't tackled in a year outside of 2 days where you've really tackled. And now you got to go out on the field and tackle at an incredibly high level to be successful. And, margin for error in a game like this is very small. So it's a huge challenge, but again, it's exciting. We're looking forward to it. For us, it's just our first goal. It's what it comes down to. I mean, we want to win the opener. That's all we can do. We can't do anything other than win the opener, and that's all we can do. And then we go from there. So we're excited about just getting it going, and watching these guys play somebody else other than the Tigers on the practice field. Health-wise, we're in a good spot, from an injury standpoint, and hopefully that'll continue through the week. We got another, we got a good tough practice today, and we'll get in shells tomorrow, and start dialing it back and really getting them fresh and ready to play Thursday and Friday. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Kind of touched on it when the series was announced, but given the proximity of the two programs, the history, the tradition of both schools, this is one you would like to see play more often, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, you're right down the road from each other, and I mean, we've played big opponents for 12 years since I've been the head coach here. That's kind of what we've done, and I mean, we've gone all the way out to A&M. We've gone to Auburn. We've done a couple of kickoff classic type things now, so I think it brings a lot of excitement to it, and certainly the fans love it. Anytime you play a quality opponent like we've played over the years, but Clemson-Georgia is not just a quality game and quality opponent. There's a tradition there that and a history that I think both sides have a lot of respect for. There's been a lot of unbelievable moments in the Clemson-Georgia game, over the years. So I know I can remember when I got the job in 08, 09. I mean, people were talking about playing Georgia in 2013. I remember that vividly. Like, oh, we're going to play Georgia. It was like I don't even know if I'm going to be the head coach or alive in 2000. I'm just trying to survive 09, and people are asking me about playing Georgia in 2013. So it's a big deal. It means a lot. Your proximity, fan bases, living on top of each other in both states, Clemson people, Georgia people. So I think that just adds to the excitement. It's what makes college football, fun is rivalries like this.
But you got Fred Davis was his co-starter. I know you're going to handle his discipline internally. Just wanted to make sure he will be playing on Saturday.
Everybody's available, and I think we're all still kind of living in a COVID world, and that's just kind of how we're going to handle it. Really the same as last year. Regardless of what situation is, we're just going to say who's available and who's not available, and keep moving on. So everybody is available at this point, except for a couple guys that we've talked about from a long-term injury standpoint.
In terms of that, do you have internally more of a comfort level proceeding this year in a COVID world because you've done it for a year?
Yeah, and there's a vaccine. We've got very few guys on our team who have not been vaccinated, very few, and our staff is vaccinated. So that gives you a whole lot more comfort level. So last year we didn't have that, and it's not that you can't get it, but it's it's like knowing it's freezing outside and you go out there when you dress properly. You got your toboggan on, and you got a heavy jacket and some thermals, and you can still get a cold, but you're at least doing everything you can to protect yourself. And so I feel a lot better about that as far as the odds of getting it as vaccinated. And again, you can get it, and then also the symptoms hopefully not being as severe if somebody does get COVID. So I'm thankful for that, and it shows that it works. So I'm thankful that we have that as an option, and we didn't have that last year, and hopefully we can mitigate more throughout the season and continue to have guys available and ready to play. And then the quarantining, the because of vaccination status and things like that, the protocols, the quarantining, all that stuff. Last year, that was the biggest issue, was if a guy got COVID, it was the contact tracing and all that. And so we're just in a much different space than we were last year. Everybody is, hopefully.
We've got a matchup of two potential Ray Guy Award winners with the punters. In a game like this, with two really good defenses, you think field position can play a big part? Oh
yeah, no question. I mean, it's huge. Game like this, field position, it's going to come down to the simple things: field position, mistakes, turnovers, discipline plays, penalties. Those are critical things, especially in a first game. Again, you haven't played in a long time. You just know there's going to be some mistakes and some adversity along the way. So field position is one of those hidden things within the game that can certainly be an advantage or disadvantage.
You mentioned tackling. I think I recall exiting spring, you weren't too happy with it at that time. I'm just curious, 3 weeks of camp, what you saw out of that.
Yeah, we've had a great camp as far as the amount of times that we were able to go live. I thought we tackled really well. Two things that I was really pleased with camp was how we tackled and how we played the ball. Positioning, and so that's very encouraging coming out of camp. But again, there's a whole different deal when you get to a game, and you're not going against your same people, and live is live regardless of who you're going against, but there's just more of a familiarity when you're going against your own people, and there's no scoreboard. There's just another level when you get excitement and energy and the magnitude of a game like this. So that's going to be key for both teams. It'll be key. Just doing the little things better than the opponent.
You see Dietrick Pennington listed as the second-team guard going into this week since his late arrival. What have you seen from him to give you the confidence to push him up that far so quickly?
Yeah, he's been amazing. I mean, and he missed about a week of camp, so that just goes to show you again. He got behind because he had a little injury he had to battle back from, but he's just a special young talent. I mean, again, you never really know, and especially in this world, because we hadn't seen these guys. I hadn't seen him in, it was, a year and a half plus since I had put my eyes on him. And so you just don't really know, where they were. And he shows up in here 338 pounds and lean 338 pounds, and one of the strongest kids in the weight room. I mean, unbelievable how strong he is and how powerful he is. So physically, okay, wow, this guy, as you watch in the summer, he's like physically, he's ready to go. Well, where's he going to be mentally? And man, he really has picked it up well. I mean, he's got just a natural grasp of football. And, a lot of it, I think he played a lot of D-line. In fact, that's originally how we first saw him. He was a D-lineman. And wanted to see him as an offensive guy. And he kind of jumped over there and played some offensive line for us in camp. And that's kind of how we got started with him. But I think he's got a bright future. I mean, I really do. He can play tackle. I mean, he's legit dual guy. So he's not, you know, I wouldn't say he's fully functional, but he's heading that way, and super excited about his future.
Did any of the running backs distinguish themselves as the best blocker of the group during camp or last week?
I think they're all, you know, solid. I mean, I think they're all willing. You know, that's the first thing is you got to be willing, and you know, they got great toughness to them. Obviously, Linjay's got plenty of experience, but Kobe is a big, strong dude. Shipley and Maffa have been here since January. Dukes is a redshirt sophomore, so you know, I think they've all demonstrated the ability to get the job done. What we need them to do from a blocking standpoint, from protection. You know, I think they got a good understanding of the defensive structures and where they fit in protection-wise. So it's a good group. It's a good room.
You mentioned Georgia's attempts to try to corral the run game, how good they are against the run. You guys over the last couple of years with Travis were regularly able to use him out of the backfield as a receiver. Do you think, like, with the talent that you guys have there, that skill sets are enough that you can still do that as routinely as you were, particularly last year when defenses are gearing up against the run?
Yeah. We've always involved our running backs, you know, for years in the passing game. They've always been a factor for us. Travis just developed into a, you know, really special guy. And I think, you know, that was a reflection of kind of who we were personnel-wise last year. You know, people were not going to – they were not going to let us run the football. And, you know, we threw for more yards than I think ever. And as a result, they just were not going to let us run the football. And, you know, we weren't quite as good in that area as we needed to be. But, you know, we gave ourselves a chance, you know, week in and week out, and made it work. You know, but they weren't going to just let us hand that ball to, you know, now, you know, we didn't have Ross, we didn't have Ngata, we didn't have, you know, we were thin in some areas. And, you know, so thankful, proud of what Cornell and Amari were able to do last year, because that was a big reason why we were able to have the type of season that we had. But, you know, hopefully we can be a little bit more of a threat in all areas, you know, down the field, everywhere, to create a little more balance. You know, that's certainly what we want, but, you know, you're always just trying to do what you got to do to win the game.
In terms of the running back situation, you had the guy, you know, the past few years. Do you anticipate that position looking maybe a little bit differently, where maybe the carries are balanced?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be different. You know, for sure. I think you know, probably more. You know, like 2018, we played a lot of guys in the backfield. You know, we played a good bit. You know, we had Wayne Gallman, who kind of emerged, you know, as the guy, but we still had a pretty good rotation there. But, you know, last year it was, you know, Travis, he became the guy, and was awesome. And again, we weren't going to let people take him out of the game. That's why he, you know, really grew from a passing game standpoint. You know, we found ways to get him the ball, and he was able to show his diversity and how much he had improved. He didn't show up here that way, that's for sure. But man, he worked himself into being a complete player there. And I think we're further ahead at that position as far as the guys there and being dual threat guys. There's not any of them that doesn't catch the ball well. I think they all fit what we need from a scheme standpoint. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if somebody becomes a guy. You know, I think you'll probably all see it. But what we've seen on the practice field, I mean, we think we got a lot of guys. I mean, it's a really, you know, there's no rule that says one guy's got to be the guy. Ain't nothing wrong with having a bunch of guys. I mean, we played Alabama in 2018. They had Damian, Najee, and I think Josh Jacobs was the third-team guy. So, you know, they were all guys. And I think that's, you know, I'm not saying these guys are those guys. I'm just saying I think that's kind of where we are. We've got good players, and we've got good young players that are just going to get better. So I'm excited about the room, and some guy will get hot from time to time, but, you know, I don't see a situation where, you know, we've got, just one guy going out there getting 25, 30 carries. I think these guys, all deserve to play. And again, that could change as we go down the road, but it's a really talented group.
Dabo, at receiver, did anyone separate behind Justyn Ross as far as like the next number 2, number 3 guy going?
I mean, Justyn is kind of in a league of his own, just simply because of where he is developmentally. I mean, this guy's played a lot of football, and he came in here elite, and he's mentally where he is. He's just in a great place, technically, fundamentally, knowledge. I mean, system, you name it. I mean, he just gets it. But as I've said many times, I mean, this is as talented a group as we've probably had. And I told Grisham that on picture day. I said, you need to take a picture of this group and pull it out in about 6 years. This is going to be a special group when it's all said and done. You'll look back 6, 7 years from now and go, wow, all them guys were in the same room. E.J. is, I think, a dynamic young player. He's so much different than he was last year. Joe is it's unbelievable, the transformation that's happened in that kid. And then Frank and Gata are elite guys. They just got to be available. It's just really that simple, as I've said that. I mean, they just have had, good freshman years, and then last year they just weren't available. And, that's just the way it is. But, high level guys. I've seen it. In Gata, man, this kid he's just talented of big guys we've had come through here. But consistently doing it on game day just hasn't happened yet. Again, made some big plays as a freshman, but last year just wasn't available. A few snaps here or there, and was hurt. So I'm really excited about what I've seen. I thought he had a great spring, and he's had a really good last 10 days or so. But we've got to see it on game day. And same thing with Frank. I've seen splashes and good moments, but consistently being there. And then the 2 freshmen, Bo and Dakari, they've been here since January, so they're kind of like redshirt freshmen. Man, these are really, really talented young players. And so that whole group is going to help us. I mean, it's kind of like our running back room. I mean, I feel great about the depth there. Troy came in. He was hurt, missed a lot of the skills and drills, then hurt first part of camp and got behind. He's a super talented kid, but he's just behind. And, you can only rep so many guys. So, but he's going to be a great player. So it's a really good room. But you'll see a bunch of guys have opportunities, but hopefully, those veteran guys will be able to be who we know they are week in and week out for us.
Who's been your best finisher downfield among those guys so far?
All of them have made plays. I mean, I chunk it up to any of them. I mean, they've all had their moments. There's not one of them that I don't believe in as far as winning one-on-one and making competitive plays.
Braden Galloway was pretty blunt in camp just about his assessment and needing to get better as a blocker. Did you see the improvement you wanted to this past month in that regard?
Yeah. He's the same thing. He's played a lot of high-level football. He's got a lot of self-awareness. He knows what he wants to do long-term. He knows where he's got to take his game. And biggest thing is he's a tough kid and very willing. Physically, he's in a good place with his body. So, he's the same thing. Got to go put it on tape and he'll lose some battles, but he's just got to win a whole lot more than he loses, and be effective. We all know what his strengths are, so he's just got to improve in that area, and it's definitely something that he knows because he wants to be a complete player at the position. He really cares about that, and that's what I love about him.
Coach, in what areas have you seen the offensive line grow throughout camp to be ready for this high-level matchup?
Just more depth. That's probably the biggest thing. More functional guys. Last year, if we'd have been going into this game, we'd have had 5 guys, and we'd have been saying, all right, well, maybe Walker Parks could go in there and play a series in a game like this, right out of the gate. But I think we got more guys that we can put in there in the heat of the battle in a game like this and can function and get the job done for us. So, that's the biggest difference for us. We just got more depth. We're still, we got to go play. We got to go get better. And regardless of what happens in this game, we for either team. The one thing I can tell you about this game is both teams are going to get better. Both teams will get better from this game. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, but both teams are going to improve. Because again, it's just rare that you get a challenge like this right out of the gate. As we said, it's happened 4 times in 21 years. So this is a big boy football game right out of the gate, and it's fun. So, I'm excited to see them on tape and then grow them from that as we go. But I'm proud of what they've done in camp. I like what I think we can turn out to be there, but we got to go play. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get better. Got to go play and do it.
Tony was saying yesterday that the center competition could go down to 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. Do you want to have it clarified a little bit earlier than that, or could you play multiple centers during the game? Or how do you
Oh, yeah. No, I think, we definitely could play multiple centers during the game. Probably we'll have to, but the good news is I think we got multiple guys that can go in there and play. But we kind of know what we want to do, but we'll roll somebody out there and get it started, and then we'll go from there.
Whether it's on the line, running backs, wide receivers, have you ever had, I guess, this much depth at so many positions, and how good of a problem is that to have when you have so much talent you can work through those different, I guess, lineups?
Yeah, well, we're going to all have challenges. I mean, there's going to be injuries. We'll have some injuries or COVID issues or whatever, and everybody will deal with that throughout the year. So it's a blessing to know that we've got a veteran team, and this is one of the oldest teams that I've had, and we got 2 new walk-on kids that came out that are actually, one's a senior and one is a 3rd-year player. So we actually have 70. We have 135 on the team. We have 70 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th-year players, and then 65 1st and 2nd-year players. So it's one of the older teams that we've had, and so that's exciting because it's created great competition. Number one, with the experience and the talented youth that we have, it's created great leadership, but we have good depth. We don't have great depth at corner, but I like the 6 guys we got. That's good news. All 6 of those guys can, and they're different places, but they're like Nate's the true freshman just getting here, but man, is he going to be a good football player. I mean, so all 6 of those guys will play and have the opportunity to help our team. So that's the one position we don't have a lot of depth, but we've created a little bit of depth because Mukuba could play there as well, if we need him. But it's a good group, from a talent standpoint and what I've seen in camp from a functional standpoint. But outside of that, I think we have more depth in the OL, and we've got good depth in the DL, good depth at linebacker. We've got good depth at safety, good depth at receiver, good depth at tight end, good depth at running back. So that's a blessing for us, for sure, and hopefully that'll serve us well as we go through the totality of the season.
Do you like the fact you're going to have the more accurate assessment of where this team is after week 1, considering the caliber of opponent you're playing? Yeah,
I don't think there's any question. Sometimes you play games right out of the gate, and you may not learn as much, may not get as exposed as much, because a game like this, I mean, this is 2 really talented teams, and so. Where do we need to improve technically? Where do we need to improve fundamentally? Where do we need to improve mentally? Whatever it is, you'll come out of the game with a lot to work on. Whether you win it or lose it, there's going to be a lot to really work on with this team. And at the end of the day, for us, I mean, it's about hitting those goals right there. We only got a chance to hit one. We can't win the division, we can't win the state or the ACC or the closer in this game, but we can get better, and we can learn a lot that sometimes may take you 2 or 3 games And Kirby would probably say the same thing. You know, sometimes you could play 2 or 3 games and you know, with a talented roster and maybe not quite know as much. I think that's one of the blessings of playing a game like this.
Brent does not strike me as the type of guy who compartmentalizes a loss like the one against Ohio State and has a nice calm offseason after that. Do you get the sense that it's a little bit personal for him to show that was a one-off, that he can go up against a top 5 team like this and that defense will be everything that it has been before? No,
I don't think that at all. You know, Brent, you know, we all move on and he can compartmentalize. That, you know, may shock you, but he's you know, you move on. I mean, he's been doing this a long time. You have some good days, you have some bad days in this business. That's just the way it is. You move on, and you know, this is one game. This is one of 12, and you know, when it's all said and done, I don't think you can judge either team based on one game. There's a lot that can happen in one game, especially an opener. You know, nobody's going to be declared the national champion if you win this game. You know, I think that's a big mistake. Again, there's 4 times in 21 years a matchup like this. So, you know, you get better from it, but nobody's sitting around thinking about last year. This is a different team, and it's always been the case for us around here. We move on. Our eyes are forward, not back, and Brent's the same way. You know, just focused on, can't do anything about what happened, you know, yesterday or last year. Our focus is on today, but regardless of what happened, you always want to perform well. And so that's our focus, is trying to get our guys ready to play well and, you know, not trying to prove anything. What happened last year happened last year. We had a great season, won the league, you know, got beat in the playoff, you know. I mean, ain't no shame in that. Alabama's got 8 playoff wins. We got 6. We've been pretty good. You know, and Alabama's won 8, but they've had some bad days in the playoff too. It happens. You know, you move on to the next game, you grow from it. But as far as Brent sitting around trying to prove something, he's been doing this way too long to have a mindset like that. He just wants to see his guys play well.
Dabo, you mentioned how every year it's a new team, but it feels like the expectations are always constant in terms of not just being a goal, but it's expected to win the league and go to the playoffs. Do you have to have any conversations with the team each year about that, or do you feel like coming in, the guys know what's expected of them going into the season?
Yeah, we don't talk about going to the playoff. We just don't. We never have. We don't talk about winning the national championship. We talk about that right there. We talk about starting over. We talk about what it takes. You know, from a philosophy, core value standpoint. You know, we talk about the type of commitment that it takes. You know, to be the best possible version of this team. That's really what we focus on. We don't focus on any of that stuff. Those are all things that can happen. Our focus is on just showing up every week, having great weeks of practice, great preparation, and putting everything we can into whatever game we're playing. And then you look up at the end of the year and, okay, well, here's where we are. That's really all we spend our time talking about. We don't talk about any of that other stuff.
Any thoughts on seeing Will Muschamp again, just in a different colored outfit?
No, I mean, you know, I'm excited for him, happy that he was able to you know, land at a great place like Georgia, obviously. Great program, great school, his alma mater. Obviously, he's got a great relationship with Kirby, so, you know, I think that's a great opportunity for him, and it's great for Kirby too to have I mean, Will's a heck of a coach, always has been, and so it's a great opportunity for both of them.
Coach, what do you think about starting the season in Charlotte? That was the last win you guys got. You've had some luck there in the last few years. Starting at a neutral site in Charlotte.
I mean, it's fun. I think ultimately you'd prefer to play home game. It's always my preference, but this was kind of a deal that came together, and you know, it was a good opportunity for both teams. So I think we play them again maybe in a couple years. Is it 24 or something in Atlanta? So, you know, again, fun for the fans and good experience for our guys. So we're excited about it, and I know it'll be a good environment and a good atmosphere. They've changed the surface up there, so it'll be field turf now instead of grass. But yeah, definitely a place that we're familiar with, and just look forward to kicking it off and hopefully playing well.
Is there one matchup for you? I mean, with the great players across that are going to line up against one another, is there one matchup that you think might decide the game more than the others?
I don't know if there's one matchup. I think, ultimately it comes down to who can win the line of scrimmage. I don't know if it's singling out one person, but you gotta in a game like this, you gotta find a way to come out on top, in the trenches. Not gonna win every battle. It's just too good a player. Neither are they. But who can consistently, win that matchup, because that dictates everything else. So I think that's probably ultimately, from just a matchup standpoint, the critical area. But there's so much more that can go into it. You can play well up front, but drop the ball, have stupid penalties, whatever, bad plays in special teams. So it's not just the one factor, but I do think from just a matchup standpoint, that is critical in a game like this, based on what both teams want to do and who they want to be.
You mentioned nobody's going to crown a national champion after this, obviously, but given some of the critiques of the ACC schedules and stuff like that you have heard ad nauseum over the years, do you feel like this is sort of an opportunity to send a little bit of a statement that you're not fighting against that narrative the rest of the year?
We're not worried about any narrative. We just want to play well and win the game. I think the narrative of our program speaks for itself.
Coach, you mentioned getting EJ some slot action during camp. How did he look in the slot, and what does that bring to the offense, being able to switch in Justyn to EJ?
Yeah, EJ can play anywhere. He's very, very eerily similar to Ross. And the crazy thing is they came from the same high school, so I don't know what's in the water down there, but they're could be brothers. They're eerily similar in their ability. So it's good when you've got some versatility, and we've got a lot of versatility. Joe can play anywhere. Frank, can play anywhere. EJ, Ross, Bo has become a versatile guy for us in a couple spots. So it's good to know that we've got good depth there, and again, guys that we can move around a little bit. But EJ has, played all three spots for us and has done excellent when he's been in the slot.
You mentioned Mukuba possibly helping you guys out at corner if you needed. I think Brent said he played about 50 snaps there in the spring. Just how much work did he get at corner in fall camp, and I guess what about his skill set makes him versatile for you guys?
Yeah, he got a lot of work. He was at one-on-one every day. So that was something that he got a lot of work at. He's obviously gotten a ton of work at safety as well, but his skill set, he's just a twitchy guy. He's fast, he's tough, but there's a lot of guys that have that, but it's his mentality that is unique for a young guy. His mentality, his mindset is, and there's a lot of guys actually in that freshman group that have a mindset that's just different, kind of way beyond their years. And Mukuba's one of those guys, so I'm really excited about him. I think he's got a bright future. He's going to be able to do a lot of things as he goes through his career here because of that mentality and his just football IQ. He really gets it. He works at it. He's a gym rat. But his versatility and speed and just quickness and change of direction, suddenness, physicality. He's a good tackler. He's really got everything that you could want in a guy.
Anything else from anybody in the room? We'll go briefly to Zoom if anybody has a question from Zoom.
Hey, Dabo, this is Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. You play South Carolina every year. You've got Georgia, your non-conference schedule filled up, I guess, in future years. I just wonder what you thought about this alliance. Do you need to play any more of these games, from Pac-12 or Big Ten?
I honestly, I haven't thought much about it at all because it has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. That's for somebody else to spend a lot of time thinking about. That's really it. We're going to play the schedule we get and just like we always have around here. And who knows what's coming down the pipe in college football? I have no idea. You probably know a whole lot more than I do. As I certainly don't. I mean, I just think that's just probably one of the dominoes along the way. But at the end of the day, my job is to get a team ready to play, whoever we're playing, and that's what we try to do week in and week out, and we'll always do that. So I spend zero time, thinking about it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, with that, we'll close it up. Thank you very much.
All right. See y'all soon.